I think I finally figured out why Dead by Daylight frustrates so many people. And no, it's not tunneling, it's not slugging, it's not even Swifts. Okay, maybe it is. But those are symptoms. The real problem is that Dead by Daylight is trying to be a modern game while running on a 10-year-old design that they haven't changed. Behavior has been fixing the wrong things for 10 years now, and I'm very convinced they don't play their own game. Every time a new chapter releases, we get more perks, more killers, more survivors, but the mechanics that actually hold this game together, they've been practically untouched. Hear me out. The biggest core issue in general is perks. Killers load into a match with 4, survivors collectively load in with 16. 16! People always say killers get stronger perks. Are we sure about that? Every year we get more perks, but the killer still gets 4. Back in 2016, 4 perks was a huge deal. Nobody knew what they were doing, builds were simple, the game was simple. Fast forward 10 years, there's approximately 324 perks now. Every new chapter introduces even more. Killers still get 4, survivors collectively bring 16. 16! That's 4 times the amount of perk interactions happening every single match. And because there are so many perks now, survivors can specialize or even stack. One player becomes the healer, another becomes the gen princess, another brings a bunch of second chance perks, another brings information, 4 different builds working together, or even worse, they're stacking gen rush builds that turn into a 5-minute match, while the killer has to cover everything with a measly 4 perk slots. Yet survivors complain that the killer is too OP? In all honesty, this game should be killer-sided. They are literally killers with powers. Why wouldn't they be stronger than you? And don't even get me started on hex perks. I swear Dead by Daylight devs have a personal vendetta against killer mains. The second the match starts, I take maybe 5 steps, boom, Hex Undying cleansed. 5 seconds later, boom, Hex Ruin cleansed. Excuse me? The survivors haven't even introduced themselves yet. I haven't even found my totem. How did you find it? Meanwhile, when I'm playing Survivor, my teammates are running laps around the map like they're on a sightseeing tour. Apparently, the Hex totem entered another dimension. It's invisible. Nobody can find it. But the second IQ killer, the Hex totem spawns directly between the survivor's ass cheeks. Congratulations. You spawn 2 inches away from the killer's entire build. The crazy part, Hex perks aren't even bad. Some of them are incredibly powerful. The problem is that you rarely get to use them, and that's the difference. The game isn't asking me, can you defend your Hex? It's asking, did a survivor spawn next to it? That's not strategy, that's RNG. And the RNG is awful in this game. Now here's what really drives me insane. Killers get 1 Hex totem. It gets cleansed, it's gone forever. No refunds, no second chances. Congratulations, you're now playing the rest of the match with 3 perks, sometimes even 2, maybe even 1, maybe none if you're running a Hex build. But survivors? Oh no, my boon got snuffed. That's okay. I'll just go bless it again. And again. And again. The match turns into me playing professional janitor simulator. Snuff the boon, walk 30 seconds away to pressure a gen or go for another survivor. Here to... They did it again. Now there's another glowing blue circle somewhere else on the map that I have to worry about. Depending on what they're running, they heal faster, hide scratch marks, pick themselves back up, and they can keep doing it infinitely. Meanwhile, my Hex perk exploded before I even found my first chase. And this is where the inconsistency starts, because boons and hexes use the same object. They're both tied to totems, and a boon can completely override a hex totem. They follow completely different rules. Killers lose theirs forever. Survivors just can infinitely put them up with 0 drawbacks. That's not evolving an old mechanic. That's stacking a brand new mechanic on top of an outdated one. The biggest issue isn't even hex perks themselves. It's that this system was designed 10 years ago. Back when players barely knew maps, nobody knew spawn locations, nobody had thousands of hours, nobody memorized every possible totem spot. But today, the average survivor knows exactly where to check. 10 years of map knowledge, thousands of YouTube guides, countless hours played. Everyone knows the common spawn locations, so every year, hex perks become weaker without the perks themselves actually changing. What's crazy is behavior keeps designing more hex perks, more builds centered around totems, but they never updated the actual system those perks depend on. It's like building a mansion on a collapsing foundation. Personally, I think it's long overdue for an overhaul. Add more dual totems across every map, completely randomize spawn locations, move them further away from survivor spawns, give hexes hidden spawn logic, make it so if a survivor cleanses a hex totem, they get exposed for a certain period of time, or honestly, give killers a 5th perk slot if they're running a hex build, because right now, picking a hex perk feels like making a strategic choice, and more like gambling whether a survivor spawns facing the right rock. Here's something I don't think behavior talks about enough. The players evolved faster than the mechanics did. Nobody has 100 hours anymore. Sure, there's new people, but most of the Dead by Daylight community, people have 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 hours. They know every tile, every loop, every spawn, every check spot, every mind game, every totem location, yet the game still behaves like we're all learning. And we go through the same 5 maps on rotation. Hexes were designed for players who didn't know where to look. We do now. We have been for years. That's why they disappear in 30 seconds. Something else that's changed over the last 10 years is how much responsibility each role has. As a survivor, your job is actually really simple. Repair generators, win your chase. Save teammates when you can, that's your responsibility. If you die, 3 other people can still win the game. But as the killer, everything falls on you. You have to pressure generators, track 4 different survivors, manage hook states, protect your totems, break pallets, decide when to commit to a chase and when to leave. You're making dozens of decisions every single minute. So when a hex gets cleansed 10 seconds into the match, it isn't just one perk disappearing. It's one more thing taken away from the only player responsible for controlling the entire game. Meanwhile, survivor gameplay can sometimes boil down to hold M1, hear heartbeat, run in circles, repeat. Obviously, there's skill involved at higher levels, but the amount of mental juggling required from the killer is on an entirely different level now. This game is heavily survivor-sided and has been for a long time. It seems to be getting worse every single update. Remember when every map felt mysterious? You had no clue where generators spawned. You got lost constantly. You stumbled across hexes by accident. Now, players can practically draw the map from memory. That's 10 years of optimization. The mechanics didn't change. The players did. And honestly, at this point, I don't even think discussing a 5th killer perk slot is crazy in the slightest. Maybe that's not the answer, maybe it is. But pretending the game hasn't changed in 10 years definitely isn't the answer. It's changed dramatically over the last 10 years. New killers, new survivors, hundreds of perks, massive reworks, yet the basic core mechanics in the game is still functioning exactly like it did in 2016. And I think it's finally time for behavior to modernize it. Because hex perks shouldn't disappear before the match even begins. Killers deserve 5 perks. Survivors shouldn't have infinite boons. Generators pop insanely fast now without the killer even having a chance to win the game. Survivors should have more challenging tasks rather than just repair generator, run in a circle. Have them do an extra task because right now it is way too simple. And before anyone says, you just want killer buffs, no, I want Dead by Daylight to feel like a game that's been evolving for 10 years instead of a game that's been adding things onto the same foundation for 10 years. Because content isn't the problem. Dead by Daylight has more content than ever. The problem is that some of the systems underneath all that content hasn't evolved with it. The new content is a diversion from the same boring repetitive gameplay loop. And I think after 10 years, it's finally time they change it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm curious to see what kind of ideas you guys can cook up because you guys do have some great ideas that I've seen throughout the years that behavior just does not want to implement. But they definitely should, and I hope they do, in hopes to just spread more awareness, get our voices out there so we can be heard finally, because that's the only way things are going to change. I hope you enjoyed this little head talk, if you will, but the game needs to be changed. Please like and subscribe or else I'm gonna come touch you. Anyways, much love, guys. Peace.